Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's lesson, we are going to talk about nested loop. So a nested loop is simply a loop inside another loop. This means that you have one loop running within the body of another loop. So the outer loop runs a specific number of times, and for each iteration of the outer loop, the inner loop runs completely. So imagine a clock. So the hour hand is like the outer loop and the minute hand is like the inner loop. So for every movement of the hour hands, which is the outer loop, the minute hand inner loop completes a full cycle. So another way to visualize this is to think about a grid of rows and columns. So the outer loop iterates through the rows and the inner loop iterates through the columns. So in order to make it more clear, let's come up with an example. So here, just imagine that we would like to write a program that generates a 5 to 5 multiplication table. So we have rows and columns here, and we want to see this in the output. How to see this in the output? Previously, we learned about how to do for loop, but when we were doing for loop, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, and that's it, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it was not like a full table. So I would like to write a program that generates a 5 to 5 multiplication table and shows something like this. To do that, the outer loop is defined like int I equals 1, I smaller than or equal 5, and I plus plus, and then we enter the loop here. And then we have the the inner loop, we have the int j equals 1, j lower than or equal 5, and j plus plus. And then we see out I times j. So let's run first the program. So exactly as we want it. So exactly as we want it, we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. But how does it work? So let's analyze the code a bit so we can understand how it works. So here we enter the loop with I equals 1, then j equals 1. So when I equals 1 and j equals 1, I times j would be 1. Then still here we had the I equals 1, j equals 1. So and it's finished now. We did the calculation and we printed 1 here like this, and we also put it here. Then j is increased by one value while the I stays the same, because we didn't finish this loop first to go back and increment the value of I. So I stays the same and then j increases. So the first result was I times j equals 1. Okay, so now I still equals 1 while j equals 2. Now I times j equals 2. Another round. I still equals 1 and j increases until it reaches 5. I equals 1, j equals 3. Then we have I times j equals 3. And this continues until we have I equals 1 and j equals 5. Therefore, I times j equals 5. So when we reach this stage, it's the first line being printed. Yeah. So it means that this j started from 1 and reached to 5. Okay, so it reached to 5. Now it has to get out of this inner loop. When it gets out of this inner loop, we print out cout and del. So it is here now when the J loop finishes, and it goes to the next line here. And when it goes to the next line here, please note that it is in the first loop still. It goes up. So now the value of I increased from 1 to 2. So now we have I equals 2, J equals 1 again, and I times J equals 2 as to have here, as we have it like here. So, and then I stays 2 until J is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and when J reaches 5, it again finishes the inner loop and it goes to the next line using this end-L function. It is here, it goes to the next line, which will be here. So now I is incremented from 2 to 3. So then it does the calculation again. So this is basically how inner loops would work, and it's a very nice way to make when we have two-dimensional arrays, lists, numbers, etc. We can use nested loops, and they are very convenient to work with, and they are very practical. So I would suggest you to practice this nested loop example as much as you can. So, and you start, if you forget what I told you about the analyzing this part, it would be nice to go back and review these analyzes and then start doing the coding yourself. And then when you forgot, you either can come back to this video or you can start doing the analyzes yourself to understand the logic behind it. It would be very important, I guess. And then move on to the next coding exercises. Thank you for watching.